Okay, it's a pleasure for me to open our next session of our Safety and Security Club. Last month we discussed some interesting topics with Jean-Pierre and Stastaran, and today we have new reports. Please, who will be the first? Jean-Pierre, could you present your report and the topic of your report?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Hi everyone, it's my pleasure again to see you guys, even if the number is low, but I don't care. I care what I give. I don't care about the audience. It's practice. Practice makes perfect. It's all starts by slow, it goes higher. Right? Thank you so much. So my name is Jean-Pierre, I'm a master's student in this faculty, Department of Computer Systems, Networks and Cybersecurity. So today I have a very interesting topic for you. I think it's not the first time for you to hear the word IoT, but today you are going to understand it. You will like it. Trust me, I have a gift to explain things easily so that everyone can understand. So it's safety and security challenges, like privacy, security challenges against IoT. Let's first understand what IoT is to go further to understand cybersecurity related to IoT. So you see here, you can even guess without explanation. We have many things here: bicycles, houses, airplanes, so many keys, phones. So IoT, it's object, things. They are connected together. They are changing information between each other to accomplish a specific task. That's a definition of IoT. Did you know this? In next 7 years, 2025, we will have 80 billion objects connected together. Huge number. Those objects will produce 400 zettabytes. You are not familiar with this word, zettabyte. Let me explain it. 1 zettabyte equals to 1 trillion gigabyte. To understand it, researchers from Cisco, they said, we have our planet there, Earth, and Pluto, another planet. From Earth to Pluto, there is 7.5 billion kilometers. And then to understand how a zettabyte is, take a number of books, make a stack of books. From our planet to the Earth, our planet Earth to Pluto, make those stack of books and times 8, that's 1 zettabyte. And then we will have those amount of zettabytes in this year. It's a huge amount of data. Let's see application of IoT in different areas. We have in healthcare, smart home, smart farming, and wearable devices. So the most interesting area where IoT is playing a tremendous role is here in healthcare. So they are producing some devices that they are implantable, or you can put in your body. They control your health status, your heart rate, your blood rate, everything. If there is anything wrong, you can report to a doctor who is located in a remote area. It doesn't matter, it's any place on the app. Then if there's something wrong, they can start giving you treatment Healthcare services is very a good critical system where IoT is playing a good positive impact. Smart farming is agriculture. So in agriculture, people are adopting IoT to have a good productivity. They can produce some devices, they can track their crops from cultivating everything, whether there is a change in the weather, it's winter is going to be bad, everything, and then it can be controlled via their smartphone, wherever they are. And smart home is just a home with all appliances, fridge, everything. It's connected to the internet. And then you can control your home wherever you are. Wearable devices. You can have a necklace that can track wherever you are, connected to GPS, or anything, or even shoes. For athletes, they have shoes, they have implemented IoT. So when you're running, they record each activity, everything. So IoT can be found everywhere. So to appreciate what IoT did, this was what I wanted you to understand, is that IoT can do much more. For example, I have my beautiful dog over there. So yeah, she's pretty. I can control her wherever she is. This is how it works, right? This necklace, it's trackable necklace, produced with GPS capability. And then I have my smartphone. I can control this dog wherever I am because it has this necklace with GPS capability. This is what it will help me. Wherever my dog will be, I can track it. Nobody can take it and go to sell it or steal it. I have total control over my dog. It's just a simple example to understand. This can be applied therefore in parenting area. Parenting means where parents they have total control over their kids. They can give them some, like this one or necklace, and then when kids they have this, when they are approaching a dangerous area, the parents they have total control over their kids. That's a good because they give peace of mind to the parents to know where their kids are, so they will no longer be worried about the location where their kids are. So that's what IoT can do. So now let's go to the next to understand. Now we appreciate what IoT can do. It's a good technology, very wonderful. It can do more, but there's a bad news about IoT. It's privacy and security. Did you know that many IoT devices, as I said in the previous slide, we have big number of data, and those data they contain the vulnerabilities. They are vulnerable to the attacks. Sometimes confidentiality, integrity, it's not assured 100%. It means some data have been discovered in IoT being sent without strong encryption or without encryption at all. That could allow any attacker to capture those information and to use them on their own benefit. So that's a huge challenge about IoT. Let me give you a typical example that happened in 2016, August. There was an attack, it's called Mirai. What did Mirai? It's exploited vulnerabilities within IoT. Those IoT were configured to use default password and default username. When you have electronics or electrical device, when you start to configure it, always it has default and default username and default password. So some guys, when they started those IoT, they left those default password and default username without changing them. So bad guys, they exploited that vulnerability, and from home routers to IP camera. IP camera, it's a camera you can install it here, and you can control your room wherever you are. You are in vacation, just in the world. So they exploited those vulnerabilities to attack routers in the home and IP cameras. Then they made what we call botnet. It means those devices over the world that had that vulnerability. They connected together, they start launching attack, DDoS, distributed denial of service attack. And then they start targeting most accessible websites, like GitHub, Twitter, Reddit, Netflix. So those websites, they were inaccessible within a period of days because those attacks from vulnerability within IP camera and routers. So it was a huge problem because all over the world, for example, this GitHub, you know GitHub, people are not able to access GitHub. You know Twitter. Twitter is popular social media. People are not able to share what's going on there. Reddit is a popular website in the USA where people can share knowledge, and then according to our knowledge, people can vote. Your knowledge was good. It's just a social media where you can share experience in a specific area. Netflix, it's a website in the US also for entertainment. Those websites were down for more than some hours due to the vulnerability discovered from IoT. It was not even a high vulnerability because it was a default from human being. Because when you configure something, you leave it in default mode, and bad guys exploited that, and then you can't imagine how many billions of US dollars are being lost because of just a simple mistake. Let's say people, cybersecurity, the most interesting area or the mistake those people do is that they take cybersecurity for granted for science fiction. They say, okay, we hear cybersecurity in Hollywood movies. It will not happen to us. That's why we have so many attacks, and when they come, oh, if we knew, we want to secure our system. Because when it comes, it compromises everything, and you lose your data, you spend the money, and you start saying, oh, what if I knew I want to secure my system? So, guys, don't wait for a wake-up call. Always security is #1 priority. As you see here, let me explain this. This is where this IP camera is being connected, it's getting internet. So suppose this Wi-Fi access point is not encrypted at all. It has no encryption. When it has no encryption, this guy here, attacker, can come with his PC laptop, and then he can connect it to that access point, and then he can control this camera. Imagine maybe you start a camera to monitor your baby, right? Their IP camera to monitor the baby in their room. And then this bad guy, he can monitor what's going on to your baby every moment, the time you enter the room, the time you exit in the room of a baby, everything. And then further consequences may arise. That's the mistake of configuring some IT system without a strong encryption or without encryption at all. So mitigating privacy and security in IoT. When you ask cybersecurity experts, they tell you that there is no way to secure your system 100%. It's not possible. Why? When your system is secured 100%, there is no usability. Usability is, you don't use it. Example, can I give you a typical example? Suppose you have your phone. You don't want anyone to hack your phone. What you do, you disconnect your phone to the internet, right? After disconnecting your phone to the internet, you can put it in a box. You lock it. After locking it, you can throw away the keys. Right? So an attacker, if he can't do that box, he will not find the keys. Right? And even if you can find the keys, your telephone has the code. You understand, the telephone is locked in the box, but you don't use it. That's the law of security. You have to balance. Because if you meet some security companies to come and say, oh, we are going to secure your system, we have been working in the IT industries, we have more than 40 years of experience, we can assure that your security of your system is 100%. No, it's a lie. They are lying. They want to make money. A security cannot be 100% accurate. It's just a balance. Because when it's 100%, there is no usability. So what I hear, to start from patch management, it means it's update. If you have IoT infrastructure, you need to make sure there is update from vendors. Sometimes if we see this update from Windows, for example, it's not for a joke, no. When there's an update, it means vendors, manufacturers, they have seen vulnerability. They released a patch to cover that vulnerability. So anywhere you have IoT or IT infrastructure, when you have this update, the first thing is to install it, update it immediately. That's patch management. And I can give you another example about patch management. It was recently, there was an attack, WannaCry. WannaCry compromised everywhere, airplanes, airport. But what's interesting is that this attack happened before Microsoft has released, 2 months ago, has released a patch to cover vulnerability. After that 2 months, there was, after those 2 months, guys who installed, who updated that patch were not affected by WannaCry. So WannaCry affected systems that were not patched, but they were already patched from Microsoft. But because of people, they are lazy, they didn't update, and then WannaCry compromised the entire system. There were so billions over there in US dollar that we lost just for the mistake of people. It's very important for patch management. So user training. So user training is also very important because if you don't train people how to use their system, how to update, it's nothing. For example, you can secure your system IoT with IPS, intrusion prevention system, IDS, intrusion detection system, firewalls, any security you may think of. But when you don't train people, for example, there is a phishing attack. There are some attacks, you receive email, and they are saying, okay, you received an email from professor, it's an example, from your bank, and if you click on that link, the entire system where you are, the entire network, will be compromised. But if you train people, say, okay, if you see this email, just think before you click, why I'm receiving this email? So just one mistake in 1 second can cost billions of dollars. That's why user training is most important. Then the last is mutual collaboration. It means there should be mutual collaboration between vendors, the people who manufacture those IoT devices, and the people, the client, people who buy, and even the government. If they work together, they can provide that kind of training, they can make secure, they can advertise if they work together. But if, for example, some companies in IT, if they have vulnerabilities, they keep it like a secret, they want to tell to people. But in the government itself, it doesn't want to collaborate with people. But everyone in IT security, they don't want to share information between others. The more they want to keep it secret, the bad guys will compromise their system because there is no collaboration between them. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Questions? Maybe I will do the first.
Okay.
Thank you for your interesting presentation. But is it completely new research? Because I never heard that you work in IoT area. But everything is interesting, and maybe could you clarify how it's possible to hack router or IP camera to maybe launch DDoS attack?
Yeah, I'm thinking of that. Because, for example, I can buy IP camera. They are not even expensive. For example, if it costs me $10, and then I can install it in my room. And then from Kali Linux, because Kali Linux is network penetration testing, I can run the code, and if I can hack into my camera, for example, I can misconfigure this camera or let it in default mode with default password, with default username. And then from my network, if I hack it, and from where I am, for example, in my room, I hack it from my phone, and I can take my laptop with me. If I come here and I try to access it from here, I can hack it to my room, and it means if I can hack it from my room, and I can hack it from here, so we are in different network. The network we have at our university is different from the network we have at our hostels. So it means if your IP camera is hackable from one network and from another network, it means it's a big vulnerability. You don't have the total control over your IP camera.
It's clear, and we know a lot of examples when the cameras were hacked, even at Kharkov. Yeah, but maybe someone can obtain the access to internal configuration. But the question is how to organize DDoS using this example of IoT device. So we can change some parameters, but is it possible to use this device to send some maybe some requests to some address to organize DDoS?
They do that. Because when they start launching this DDoS, distributed denial of service, when, for example, if one device is compromised, they try to compromise another one. They try to join them together so that they can send more requests, more ICMP messages to the victim.
Okay, just any request without any content by all focused on some address.
Yeah, just on the address, in a specific address.
Okay.
Just keep sending, and then the victim to be overloaded with this amount of traffic coming, then it will run out of internet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Victoria, I'm waiting for your question.
I don't know what to ask because your presentation is really interesting. I haven't known anything about IoT, so I knew just about smart stuff like smart homes, and it's really interesting idea. But I never know about such aspects that you can hack it, that you can make a DDoS attack. It was absolutely incredible, and I'm really happy that you can explain quite difficult things in a simple way, so
Thank
that
you so
everyone
much.
can understand. So I don't even have a question.
Thank you so much.
No questions,
very happy for
absolutely.
that.
It's so cool.
Thank you so much.
Or maybe, have you ever owned any of these IoT devices, or you're planning?
I'm planning because it's interesting. The more you own it, the more you understand it. Because IoT, it's being implemented everywhere. It's a new technology. So, for example, like last time I was talking about Bitcoin and blockchain. For example, if you start investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, for example, we have more cryptocurrencies. To understand it, it's good, for example, to buy some Ethereum, for example, $20. You can spend it to understand it. When you understand it fully, people will start coming to you to explain to us, and then you can start making money. Right? Yeah.
And what would it be? What device would you like to own?
I would like to own like IP camera, for example. Yeah, IP camera.
What for?
For example, I can install it in my room. Like if I am here in the hostel, I can
You want to spy for your neighbor?
No, it's not illegal. It's not illegal. When you install a camera, it has to be installed in a public area where you have total control. For example, if you install a camera here, for example, at the entrance of this university, there should be a label document that gives you label to have this camera, to have total control of this camera. And when you are going to install it, you make sure it's not a privacy problem. You cannot install this camera in the toilet or wherever. Yeah, you have to respect privacy of people. So, like, for example, the reason why I will start from IP camera is it's like interesting to see what is taking place wherever you are. For example, you are having a vacation far away, maybe in Maldives, maybe you come in Africa to do safari, who knows? And then when you are doing safari in Africa, you can control what's taking place at your home in Harco. It's interesting. Yeah, in real time. Remember, it's real time. It's in real time. It's happening in the same time.
That's really a cool idea because you can avoid thefts.
Yeah.
So really, usually we ask, our relatives to visit
our
houses,
you're right.
So that everything is okay. But with these devices, we can be sure that nothing happens wrong, or you can see that something is wrong in your room or in your flat, and you can even ask if you're in another country, you can ask your relative to call the police. Yeah,
you're right. Oh, you have given an idea. What if, like, you can implement IoT, for example, you are controlling your camera, and then there is some guys who are coming to steal your stuff at your home, and then the camera, instead of for you to call your relatives, the camera it has the capabilities to send a request to the police.
Oh, that's really cool idea. Really.
It's a cool idea. We can do that. It's a cool idea. It can automatically give a request to the police. Why not?
It's already implemented.
Really?
Yes.
In some projects, yeah. It's, for example, Ring corporation that produce some ring with cameras for crime protection, and not only for organizing some AI using a lot of connected together some cameras.
It's like a doorbell with a camera, but with its own CPU that can process the image with AI and even recognize whether it's a person near your door or animal or anything else.
So you can control it wherever you are?
Yes, and even more, they can store your video in clouds, so you can see it at any time with fixed periods, for example, a day or a few days of the video. Also, with the help of artificial intelligence, you can even see where the camera found some suspicious moves in front of your door. So this kind of really high-performance doorbell.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether the idea was implemented. But there are so many things to involve in the IoT.
Okay.
The best thing in the IoT is that you can think of idea, and then you can give it to the people who are experts in IoT, and then they can implement it. You can just think of anything, you can implement the healthcare services, wherever you are. But last time also I was thinking about something pretty cool. For example, there's a ring. It's just an idea, because I spend most of the time reading. It's just an idea. A ring. Yeah. For example, like, we have problems over the world. Like men, women, sometimes they can cheat on their husband. And then this ring, right? This ring will be implemented. When you have on it, the time you will think of cheating on your partner, it will give a command to your partner. It's an example. Or just can say something. Oh, come on. What are you going to do? Just because it's a ring. It's just even ideas. Why not?
Okay, how the ring will recognize whether the partner is cheating or not?
You can say from GPS or from, okay, artificial intelligence. Why these people in artificial intelligence, why they recognize like the location, like people, you know, in artificial intelligence, there's a robot, Sophia, you know? Yes. Yeah. It's a robot, it's been made recently. They took it in Saudi Arabia. They have even given her citizenship of Saudi Arabia. So Sophia can recognize emotions. You can talk to her, hi Sophia. When you are sad, she can, oh, why are you sad? She responds immediately. So I think we can combine artificial intelligence and IoT to make that happen.
Yeah, one point about the healthcare, so I just remembered, I read an article about, I can't remember the name of the company, but there was a project of contact lenses that can measure sugar in your blood. So for diabetics, it's really, really important, and this lens is connected, to your smartphone or to pager, whatever you use, and it sends you the results of measuring the sugar level.
That's a
and then you don't need to use these special things to measure and whatever. You don't have to watch on your clock and just wait for time to measure it. You measure it all the time, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What you need to use lens?
I do. So that's another question.
Yeah. What I was thinking about combining artificial intelligence and IoT. Let me give you an example. Suppose you have something to monitor your heart rate. It's an example. So, and then your heart rate, your heart has a problem. It starts beating at a high rate.
They already exist.
Okay, and then the time there's a problem, and this device will give a command to not to the doctor, to the ambulance. You know ambulance?
Yeah.
And ambulance, because it doesn't need a driver with artificial intelligence, ambulance will come to your place because the device will give GPS location to ambulance. That ambulance, when you reach to your home, take to the ambulance, and the ambulance will take you back to the hospital, and then you will find the doctor, they are ready to treat you. It's just an idea.
That's
Everything starts with idea. Yeah. Combining IoT and artificial intelligence.
Do you know that new cars, each of these kind of IoT?
The new car?
Yeah, because each car has kind of computer inside.
Yeah, the new one, but they still have drivers.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the eye of driving.
Yeah.
So what I mean that, for example, BWM already implemented the calling for emergency if you have crashed. So if you have a crash with this kind of new car, it calls emergency automatically.
Yeah.
And it checks whether the speakers are working or not, and even try to send the GPS data if it can.
This one is very, very interesting because, like, for example, if that ambulance is in the way, there is capabilities on those modern cars. When, for example, there's a heavy traffic jam, it can take, okay, this road, there's a traffic jam, they suggest another road, you can pass to another road. Because using GPS, they can locate, oh, this road, there's a traffic jam, many cars over there. Then they say, you have to pass this road so that you will reach faster and in short amount of time.
It's not really work in our countries because some roads can be broken
It's
so
very
far.
wrong. It's very ideas.
You won't even be able to cross it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please. Next report.
The second speech. But we have time till 5?
We have a lot of time.
Great, because I was already done.
We have a key, and it means that
So, can you tell me how to use it, because I see this for the
the
first time.
green button is a laser pointer.
Oh,
Left, right for switching
okay.
slides.
Well, hello everyone. I'm happy and at the same time excited to be the part of this safety and security club. And I want to say that in the future we want to have more people attracted to this idea, to share ideas and to discuss it later. So today my presentation is about influence of IT on the process of globalization. How IT technology has affected the process that surrounds us from the very beginning of our lives. So when I came back home last Friday, I was thinking very hard to find the topic that would be at the same time appropriate and interesting for your own, so that we can discuss later. So I laid back on the sofa and started gazing at my bookshelf to find something that can inspire me. And I found the book you see behind me, The World is Flat, written by Thomas Friedman. Even this book inspired me to take this topic, because many ideas that Thomas Friedman, 3 times Pulitzer Prize winner, journalist and author, shared in this book just influence our world so hard that it's hard to imagine our lives 20 and 30 years ago without all that we have now. So, but first of all, I want to ask you a question. What do you feel, what appears in your head when you hear the word globalization? So the first thoughts, some metaphors, I don't know, first associations.
Sharing like, you know, experience, ideas, culture.
Yes,
so, like,
ideas,
cultures,
languages, just the process of sharing, yes?
Yes.
And what Wikipedia gives us. Globalization is the trend of increasing interaction between different people on the worldwide scale. That's very important, due to advances in transportation and communication technologies. But what do we have? Transportation and communication, various IT technologies. I guess that with all these 3 things, we have what we can call now globalization, because during the past 10 or 20 years, information technologies was driving factor in this process. Briefly, just a simple historical model of globalization. What we have here, the first stage, it was between 15th and 18th centuries, held in just exploring countries like Spain, Portugal, France, even China with the Silk Road, which just connected Eastern and Western civilizations. The process of sharing ideas, goods, and the transportation process was so hard, dangerous, and it took a lot of time to even get the idea, not only idea, but the news. Just people were cut from the civilization. The second stage was easier if we talk about transporting and communication technologies. People had already steam engines built in their ships, railways, they had the telegraph. But the second stage stopped when the First and the Second World War appeared. And what do we have now? The third stage of globalization that we will be talking more about during this presentation, because we will just see the most bright ideas, projects, people which influence the process of globalization the most. So the first is Netscape Navigator. Back in 1994, Internet has already existed for 4 years, but it was developing too slowly due to that fact that there was no easy and commercially successful way to navigate in the net. It was too hard to understand how to use it. So what Netscape did is found the best solution. They launched the first browser, which looked like which looked like our modern Amigo, I don't know, Chrome, Google Chrome, any browser, Safari that we can use now. But it was real breakthrough, because back in 2007, I guess, when I first used internet, So I took the large laptop of my dad, Hewlett-Packard laptop, I logged in and I started just exploring the World Wide Web. It was so easy for me to understand it on the fly, so it was easy as a pie. So I turned it on and I understood how to use it. Back in 2004, people were it was still hard to share their emotions and everything. So it changed our life. So it took 5 minutes for me to explain to my grandmother how to use Safari. So now it's easy for everyone. The second, open source code movement. So sharing the main principles of free using software and commercial or personal, free to study and modify the source codes. It influenced the process of globalization so hard that you can be everywhere in the world, contributing and implementing what you know, just making the world better. Just the bright example is Wikipedia, the project that was built by many people from different parts of the world, and it's still on the go. Apache and many others. So what do we have next? Social media. We don't talk about Facebook. I just placed the Facebook because it was the first commercially successful the idea in this field. But there were many others. So Classmates, 6 Degrees, MySpace, which looked horribly. So the 6 Degrees, MySpace. It was too hard for people to understand what for I need to share my personal data, or how can I meet new people. So this man, Mark Zuckerberg, I think that all that he did was at some point big fraud, because if we remember his story when he hacked the database of his college and placed the personal data and photos of all his course mates and made just a platform where everyone could see the photos and estimate them. So he saw that people were spending hours and hours looking and scrolling just through the photos of their course mates and estimating them, and they were so excited that they spent really hours. So he took the idea of other people, implemented it, and what he had, Facebook, the first commercially successful social media, which influenced you. You don't need to be from 2004, which gave Facebook and, by the way, LinkedIn social medias. You don't have to be a SBU worker or a spy to just get to know where is your girlfriend right now, or who is your colleague at work. You can just type and see whatever you want. Yes, we take it for granted. We all know that when I was born in 1998, it took me 6 years and it was already on the go. So, but for many people, it was a real breakthrough, which remember this period better than I and our generation. So once again, this horrible screenshots of the first Google, how they looked like. I don't know how people used it, but anyway. And crucial moment. So offshore and outsource. So outsource was the greatest idea if we talk about globalization process, because from the very beginning, back in 2000, let's just switch to a small story. Back in 2000, when people were back to the year 2000, when people were celebrating the new year, they had a huge problem, because when they looked at the, can I use the marker or not? It's not, so when they looked at the clock app on their laptops, they saw that.
But you can try. You can try. What will you
try? Like this. How can I get rid of it? No, okay, anyway. I didn't expect. So, when people saw the time on their laptops, personal, I don't think that there were some laptops, but personal computers, they saw that it was not the year 2000. Oh, great. So, it was not the year 2000, but it was still 1900, because 2 digits two last digits were changing through all the years, but the first digits were staying the same. That was the biggest bug. So it took many hours of dull monkey job to fix it. And guess the country by the photos that could provide workforce, that could provide specialists to fix this bug. Of course, India. And that's how this the story of friendship began. So now, if you are John Kaufman in Silicon Valley, you are a CTO of a company. You have a party on which, just a second, you have a party on which many investors and CEOs and CTOs of different startups will be presented. So you need a brief information about anyone that will be on this party. What you have to do? You have to search. John Kaufman will get bored easily. So it's dull job for CTO. He has so many things to do. Instead of this John Kaufman hired Satish Kumar from India, for instance. And this Satish Kumar, when John Kaufman goes to bed, Satish just works during his day, and when John Kaufman is waking up in the morning, he has his report done. And we are not talking about reports. It's easy for our Eastern world, I'm talking about Eastern Europe, India, Pakistan, every country, it's easy for us to work on the projects, and it's easy for them, for the already developed world, to pay us the price of 5 Starbucks coffee cups, and we will have their business done. But we should not stop on this. The main point is that we should learn from developed countries to implement their knowledge and to implement their skills, and it's maybe sometime it will be our turn to hire. So, and here just the backside. I thought that there will be music on this video, so I will comment. This is the backside of globalization. We can use the power and the workforce of developing countries in order to make frauds. For example, if you have, if you are an owner of Joy Casino or Seventh, of course, anyway, just casino on the net, you have to just make it visited by many people. You need to attract the people's attentions, and you need to in the Google search you need to place your your Joy Casino on the top. So you have to make people visit it, but no one really wants. The solution is simple. You need to hire 100 people in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, that will spend the whole day just clicking and making fake accounts, and that's easy. You pay them $100, and many people work on the same business. So I don't think that you can find a lot of people, if you live in USA, I don't think that you'll find a lot of people that will do this. But many people in developing countries, and I guess even in Ukraine, will just do this for you. So there are some books that I have used during my presentation. If you're interested in this topic, you can just read them. So the world is flat, of course, the Facebook effect, to read about Mark Zuckerberg project. Power and Plenty and Sapiens are more about historical aspect of globalization that was in the past. And of course, thank you for your attention, and I'm waiting for your questions.
Thank you.
Can I ask? Andrew, thanks for your presentation, really interesting topic, and it's really great pleasure to see that you are really prepared for this topic. So what I want to ask, can you tell me what drawbacks do you see in cultural globalization? Not just using force of developing countries to make frauds, but what about cultures? Do we have to mix it, or we have to keep it on our own?
No, thank you for your questions. I think that in developed countries, we already can see the mixture of different countries and cultures, and it's not a problem because, of course, IT, communication, and every other technologies helps us, and we now can see that education and especially education, languages helps us to integrate, helps us to that this helps us a lot. I know English, I can talk to anyone from different countries, and that helped me. But I don't think that cultural aspect is very important, but talking about making business, talking about living in different countries, that just disappears. Because if I talk to someone from people studying, so any other questions?
No, the question was maybe which language is better to choose, our own or maybe English, like the current language of globalization and so on. But I have is correct understanding.
Well, it's a part of this question.
Yes,
So
it was the
but
cultural aspect of the
I think
yes.
the correct answer will be maybe in China. We can use English like a tool, and we can keep our own language, and we can communicate using English because we need it for job, for science, for education, for communication, and so on. You want to ask another question?
I want to add something to your answer and to Andrew's answer. Like, what is a good idea about globalization and languages that scientists proved that multilingual people, so people who can speak not in two languages but more, as I am, as Andrew is, as all of you are, and they are more intelligent and more, developed as people in countries that say only one language, like monolingual people. So it is already a fact that it develops our brain to think in other ways, to share in other cultures, to understand other people. And so, yeah, we have some drawbacks, but we also have, on the other hand, some good things. Because, for example, I would never know about African culture if there were no globalization. But it's really interesting. There are so many aspects. So they have their own music. They have absolutely everything. They have their own art, and it's incredible. There are so many bright people born here. So it's really important.
I completely agree.
We can keep English language as the tool, as the key to communicate with every peoples. Yes, but the just the aspect that people that will learn more than 2 languages, 3 languages, it's obvious that it develops our brain. If, for example, if I learn German, I not only learn rules and words, I learn German culture, literature, everything that's connected to German people, and everything stays like. It develops, yes, I agree with you. And we should stay the cultural moment. We should not just seek to integrate in westernized way of life. We should think about our roots, but everything should be balanced, yes. We should not be racist. Or we have bad experience in our lives, and we should learn from the history. So,
there is another side or back side of this process, because it's impossible to leave the original English, and the final language will be far from current English.
Yes, English.
Yes, English.
One question. Thank you for the presentation. It's really good, but could you please show us the very first slide?
Very first one?
Slide.
First slide.
First slide.
Sorry, guys. I would like to present you Professor Gartenko as speaker. Anatoly has not enough time just for invitation.
Well, guys, I just want to thank you that you are interested in things apart from your teaching, your learning process, and then it's important because I'm from I'm teaching people in Great Britain, and I learned that people there, they maybe 5% of all the students are really interested in their subjects. But you are interested not only in the subject, but in some extra. Yeah, because you are now here, it's 5 o'clock, you are obviously your classes are already finished, and you are here because you are like something extra. And I really think well, I can say that it's been benefit to you, because when you put your, you took part in some club, some seminars, apart from teaching, obviously you need to put it into your CV. Yeah? And then when you talk, it's important. Even your coursework is also important, because it's part of your CV. When you look into your, when you have an interview with a company, and they ask you what can you do, you can say, I was doing that, I have a qualification, and I give talk with that. So this is important. So, and it's a pleasure for me to see that there are not only, well, maybe not as many as I would appreciate, yeah, but enough to thank to you that you are really interested in this. Yeah? And you're talking in English. For you it's okay, but for these guys it's not maybe natural. But it's important part of your education, of your training. Yeah? And you have to put it in your CV. It's an important point when you talk to the company when you interview.
Let's go. This is not okay.
Yeah, so okay, so I wrote it as IoT, so all of the time during presentation I was expected where the IoT comes and I failed to see it. I'm sorry. It's my bad.
Sorry.
I have a question. Thank you for your interesting presentation. It was really interesting. What bad sides of globalization, except that you mentioned in your presentation? Anything else that is a bad?
I consider bad. Oh, okay, I got your question. Thank you. Bad sides. You know, people are different and cultures are different. The fact that we use the same language is not the main factor. So we have different religions, different educational systems, we have different beliefs, and sometimes it's very hard for all the people to be tolerant to each other. And we can see that in the modern Europe, in the modern westernized world, where a lot of people from, for example, let's take Muslim countries, they go to Germany, they settle there, they have the payment from the government, but they do not respect those who were living in this country for centuries. I'm not talking about everyone, but a lot of people are not tolerant to those who are they don't feel like the guests. They break the rules, they try to, not to integrate, but they try to just show that they have their culture too. But we need to find a compromise between the culture that already existed for decades and the culture that are new to that place. And I think that we can make it using not only IT technologies, but all the just breakthroughs that were introduced for last years. So I think that's the main problem, some problems with this integration.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
Comment. It's necessary to respect the local maybe rules, and in this way it's possible to avoid problems.
Yes, but
with
it is more complicated. I believe that it's more complicated.
Okay, more questions.
Sorry, I could not hear your presentation and Jean-Pierre as well. But we talked with you about these topics. Topic is very important. I mean, IT and globalization. And now we talk about diversity. Yes, diversity of language, culture, education system, and so on. I think diversity is a very important point for our civilization in general, because if all people will speak in English, it's good, yes, but if we will have just one language in the world, it is not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, why?
We should remember our roots, we should keep our culture. Yes, it's important to learn English, to integrate, but we should not forget about the diversity that gives us different cultures, that's the human race.
Yes, because diversity is the main point in safety critical system. You know why? For example, if you talk about reactor feed system, yes, these systems are very redundant system, but not only redundant in point of view a lot of different channel. Yes, main, duplicated, and so on. In general, we have 6 and more channels. But one of the requirements to such system is diversity for the channel. It means that application of different software hardware platforms. Why it's needed? Because it can decrease risk of common cause failure. You know why? Why? Because if you talk about software, and if it's the software developed just one programmer, we have the same design faults in different channels. The same faults. And this is the reason is of common cause failure. Hence, if you talk about reliability of our civilization, diversity is very important point. Because if you все станем блондинами с голубыми глазами, это плохо. It's bad. Because common cause failure for our civilization means that all people will be the same. We are different. It's very good in point of view stability, in point of view liveness of our civilization. Hence, in this case, we have very interesting bridge between IT and between global process. Because if you talk, for example, about the Internet of Things, yes, the Internet of Things is an example of globalization, evolution of IT. Yes, you are agree. Wow. IoT. What does it mean, IoT?
Internet of Things.
No.
No.
Internet.
Three.
Internet of Things. Why? Why? It's right.
We are not safe.
Yes, because what does it mean, IoT? It's more and more nodes which connected between each other. Yes, each other. And more nodes, more vulnerabilities, more threats, more possibility for successful attacks, and so on. Other example, I or E. What does it mean? Internet of everything. Yes. Yes. The same. Yes, it's some play of words. Yes, but from point of view of globalization, it's very important point. Very important point. Yes. Yes, we need to talk about. We need to talk about. What does it mean? People. Internet of people. Yes, because it's the main issues. Yes, final point. Yes, point. Because we need communication. Communicate. And now I'm preparing a preface to book. This book has title Dependable IoT for Human and Industrial Domains. I am editor of this book. This book will be edited in Netherlands. It's a very big book with participation of a lot of people from 15 countries. And last weekend I think about IO. A, B, C, Z. Yes, and there are internet of everything. Can say, but by the way, everything. What does it mean? Okay. What does it mean? Everything. If you talk about IoT, it's traditional and IoT. What does it mean? No, more formally. Everything. What does it mean? Because there is definition of IoT. There is definition of IoT. What does it mean? It means data, process, schemes, and I don't remember last concept. In this case, we talk about Internet of Data. Artyom, you remember our talking, our discussion in Bukovel, Yaremchi, during our winter training school this year, and we talk about Dr. Alyan presented lecture about Internet of Data Centers. Internet of Data Centers. You understand what does it mean?
Yes.
And it's infrastructure, Internet of infrastructure. If you talk about Internet of process, what does it mean, process? Internet of process. Maybe. Do you know anything about industry 4.0? Good talk for next meeting. Okay.
Industrialization or industry?
By the way, we are planning to organize center of Internet industry 4.0 as a base our university, our department for Kharkiv region, for industry company, for university, and so on. And it's very interesting point. In this case, we talk about IoT. What does it mean? Industry IoT. And so in this case, we talk about virtualization of production company and whole process. In this case, we talk about Internet of process, Internet of data, Internet of things. In this case, yes. And so in general, in this book, which I mentioned, in general, they have A, X, I, or B, here.
It's like a function.
A of X, different prerogative. I don't remember.
Adjective.
It's industry or any other one. And this is maybe any things. Data processes. So
May I ask a question? Is it a model?
yes,
Yes,
it's
the part of the research.
it's really small. Model because I have no time. I proved two theorems, which are sequences of this formula.
Okay, so
It's a semi-formal model.
Okay, but is it possible to use it in some PhD research, like a result?
I think we have ocean of different directions in these topics. And,
So it's interesting.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions? I think we can close our meeting, but please, some final words for your presentation. I think we can consider the information like a part of communication, or maybe communication as a part of information, because to communicate with the people at another side of the earth, we should use the internet and some services. So we can consider maybe the communication as a part of information. Okay, so thank you for your report, for your questions, comments, and some interesting ideas that maybe can be used as a topic for our next reports. And I hope our next meeting will be in April, maybe at end of April, before holidays, and we will choose most interesting topics and maybe our next speakers. Thank you again. Yeah, but we'll discuss it. Thank you again for questions, for reports, and maybe please check for emails with the information about our meetings. And please invite your friends to visit those events, because it's interesting. It's a good chance to communicate in English, and also I can say that it was the third report of Jean-Pierre. It's a great, but for you it was the first report, and it was done at the high level, so it's great. Thank you again, and unfortunately we should close our meeting. Thank you, and see you again.
Guys, if you would like, I can show the list of references related to different issues for Internet of Things. Please come.